Hello again. Sorry about yesterday. I needed a day away. Welcome to our News Bites on Tuesday, the 14th of October, 2025, giving you a clear, revealing update from what was said on the Doctor Who Missing Episodes podcast. But also, I've been in communication with Film is Fabulous. I will give you the actual specific headlines pertaining to Doctor Who. I have had some communication, like I say, with Film is Fabulous as well, and they do aim to come on in the future when all is calmed. Now, let's just get to this. I know some fans get cynical about being misled and all the rest of it. Let's get this in order. I know some fans get cynical about being misled or another hoax, and it has been over decades since the last positive find, thanks to Philip Morris with the Web of Fear, an enemy of the world recovery. But they do, this is Film is Fabulous, they do make very specific, very clear, very positive comments. And these have been repeated to me in my communication with John Franklin of Film is Fabulous too. It also marries and echoes what Philip Morris said on our live question and answer show last Wednesday, full of stories and anecdotes and honesty, but also Philip Morris did say he thinks there is good news coming. So that sets us up. Now, I'm not my lonesome tonight. I have Paul. Hello, good to see you, Paul.
Likewise. Hello, everyone.
And I will have Chris with me from Utah in a moment. Oh, there he is. So let's get Chris on. Hiya, Chris.
Hello.
There you go. So we've got enough people to speculate, to talk through the transcript of what was said. And we're going to be reporting specifically what was said. No waffle tonight, okay? So here we go. Well, first of all, I think I should just give you this bit. And this is what Philip Morris was hinting at last week. You will be very, very happy with the announcements when they come. This is what Film is Fabulous says. I mean, oh my God. I mean, this does not sound like, Paul, we're going to get one, does it?
No, it doesn't. And it's a very absolute statement as well. It doesn't sort of intimate anything or even sort of just loosely hint. It's a very emphatic statement. So there's much encouragement, I think, that can be taken from that.
I'm looking. I used to be an English teacher, people. No, very, very. I mean, that's very in the affirmative. Chris, how excited are you?
I'm extremely excited. We've gone now 12 or so, I think, about 12 years since, as you mentioned, Enemy of the World and the Web of Fear discovery. That really changed the landscape of what we have remaining of the Troughton episodes, because it really, in a sense, brought Victoria to life. Largely because we had very little of her era on screen, and it helps with Jamie as well. So it's excellent. I'm extremely excited, and I you always hear rumors of what they found. So if the rumors are true, I can't wait.
And everything I'm hearing is actually saying, allow your cynicism to evaporate, allow that to happen. But so I'll take us through some of the pronouncements tonight so we can be very clear if you haven't heard the podcast, but also there's some interesting context, and also we've got some tasty bits to add. So this is, we've also spent, this is Film is Fabulous, time liaising with people that quite frankly, and for whatever reason, do not want Film is Fabulous to actually catalogue the collection. What they want is someone to perhaps turn up at the property, give them some advice, tell them about ways that we do things, and of course note and observe some of the items that they may or may not be aware of in terms of their rarity. This is a very, it's like a dance, isn't it? They are an amazing conduit. They've just formed as a charity. That's why they're in the news so much. But I can see there's a dance. There's caution, because in our country, Chris, Bob Monkhouse was taken to court. He had a massive film collection, and people get their mitts on it. So private collectors, very cautious. We need a conduit. We need somebody to do a sensitive dance with them. So there's that one. Let's have a look. We've been building up a detailed database of some rare and missing items that we've quite frankly recommended the individuals to return to the rights holder. So you can see there's difficult conversations, sensitivity needed, long and laborious hours. This is going to be tricky. And I think all the way through, what I learned from it, Paul, is Doctor Who fans, we're near the back of the queue. There are very exciting things to say, and I'll show you them, but we need to wait.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it almost goes without saying, but it's a wealth of information now. I think it's as much to think about. We were talking just before we came on about how just the speculation alone and the hints of this and that are enough in themselves to at least be a bit more unifying. I think every Doctor Who fan is pleased to some extent about this. I think it's I always think of it as analogous to an archaeological sort of excavation, because you have to take the same care, don't you? In some ways, you have to take physical care because these are light sensitive things, but also from the paragraph you showed previously, there has to be care interacting with individuals concerned as well, doesn't there? People who have rights and might feel proprietorial, they have to be negotiated with. There has to be some diplomacy to sort of convince them to yield what they have. And I think it's going to be an exciting time, but a lengthy time as well, I feel.
Yeah, and by the way, if you haven't heard the podcast, everybody, I think one important piece of context for us Doctor Who fans is they weren't making any announcement about Doctor Who yet. That leaked out because somebody responded to a Facebook entry. And so they hadn't got their ducks in a row. So this has come out of order. So we have to get our heads back in the box and just wait. And I'll give you more context. But before as I come to Chris, TARDIS Travels here, Jeremy, if it's a big cache of Doctor Who missing episodes, then it will take time to DM them for transmission. Quite right. John Sweeney, this is where our cynicism kicks in. It looks like some of these selfish collectors have had to come forward because their film collections are deteriorating. Actually, John, when you listen to the podcast, Film is Fabulous as a charity became very aware that private collectors a lot of them were becoming ill during COVID and lockdown and were dying. And then their collections were unarchived in many cases and not in a will. So basically, you know, whether there's a Doctor Who or an Avengers or anything, it's lost forever. So basically, I'm being less cynical about it now. And Philip Morris told me off last week and said, don't be so cynical about private collectors. In a way, Chris, if they hadn't picked something out of a skip, the thing is lost.
Well, I think so. Can you imagine how it would be if you say one of these private collections has a huge hoard? Say they have all 97 remaining episodes, but they are lost because there's a chain of command that's lost, or a chain of custody, or something's not handled correctly, or things people are too quick to jump and say, "Give me the tapes now," and then someone in the family passions become hot and they say, "How dare you? While we are mourning our grandfather, our father, whoever has just passed away, we won't give you the tapes. We'll give them to someone else. We'll burn them." No, I don't think that people would say you burn them, but you might get them lost forever, or at least for another 30, 40, whatever years, or another generation. So no, these are because I think the main thing to keep in mind is that these are human beings, these are people that have these film collections, and they are becoming elderly, and they are probably starting to pass away. In the cases, it's clear probably one person has just in a short time ago. You have to treat these things very delicately, and with patience, these good things will come. I know it.
And as John Franklin, who runs Film is Fabulous, said, we were going to make a very detailed announcement for you all, but not quite yet. So we just need to just push back a little bit. The timelines are all run, and there's some awkward time issues, as you've just said, Chris, regarding the contexts. Stephen Braddock here, listening to the Film is Fabulous podcast has made me very, very aware of the human cost and duty of care that comes first. Totally agree with you, Stephen. I am a Doctor Who fan. I am desperate for more missing episodes. I think it is as clear as damn it that we have more. We just have to wait for them to be archived, catalogued, retrieved, looked after, improved, and possibly on Blu-ray. You know, there's a whole sequence here, isn't there, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, I think for now it's just the idea that things are moving forwards to some extent. There's momentum, definitely, and I think there's enough information coming out to at least paint a sort of narrative for us, and hence us getting together now and discussing it in this regard.
Well, I mean, they give us some tasty morsels. So, for example, they said, we are aware of a number of things that I have permission, this is John Franklin, permission to mention because they've come up in various conversations. For example, we are aware of a couple of early episodes of The Avengers, one of which is complete.
Okay.
So for those of us who are desperate for Doctor Who, you can only, I mean, I think it's a pretty good, safe guess to say some of these private collectors who have said early Avengers will have also collected similar stuff like Doctor Who and various other things.
Yes.
I think it's a fairly safe contextual guess. So that really excited me, that there's still new Avengers out there. There's still stuff out there sat in people's collections.
Definitely.
Okay,
I think it's, sorry, I wasn't sure which of us was to speak. Sorry,
right.
Chris.
It's all right.
Okay, I'll keep going. Right, so another example, another person has one of only 6 episodes from BBC Two's late night horror series. So you can see they are tastily telling us different private collections. We found something there. We found something there that we didn't know existed. Now, you only have to start adding a few things together, but of course they do come to Doctor Who in a moment. But are you either of you Avengers fans?
Yes, definitely. Yes, very much so. Very much so.
I'm sure that I would be if I had been exposed to it. I've never seen it. I'm aware. You're talking
Yes.
about the series with what's his name, Patrick McNee, yes?
Indeed. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I recently saw a film with him. Actually, James Bond: A View to a Kill. It was fun.
Oh yes, yeah, he played a good part.
Yes, I watched. One of my friends and I, who's also over in the UK, we watched Bond films together, and we watched the last Roger Moore film. So it was good to see him. And then my James told me, oh, his man was in a series called The Avengers and such. So I'm aware, and I've done a little research. It looks like it would be great, but I can understand that. I understand that a lot of some of the early episodes, which I think are black and white, are missing. So it's the same situation, just probably less of a wide profile or exposure that Doctor Who has, but it's the same idea.
Now,
So
Stefan here, be kind, guys. We all want missing episodes, but just be patient. If my sources are right, you will not be disappointed. Now, remember, only last week Philip Morris was on. He is not claiming to have found anything. He says he's friends with these people. They're good colleagues. He obviously knows a fair bit. That's why I nudged him a little bit. But yeah, so, and like I said, I've had John Franklin on the phone. I've had him, he phoned me up. We had a good chat. He's texted me. He said, Karma Waters, Brendan, will come on your show. We'll talk about the recoveries. It's just a matter of can everybody just give them time and space. And I think that's the thing I'm going to keep repeating, as well as share some of the good news. So another example he gave is another collector has quite an interesting collection. It includes 4 episodes of Simon D's D Time. The BBC only has 1 episode in the archive. So they're finding very rare stuff. And you only have to sit there going, oh my God, are they going to get the 10th planet at last? Part 4. Oh my God, will even 1 episode of Power of the Daleks be found? I think for now, we are allowed to let some of our aspirations free. I mean, just for a second, Paul, when you hear that they're finding episodes that the BBC archives don't have, when it comes to Doctor Who, if I said 1 episode, what would you really like to get?
It's got to be the 10th planet, I think. I think we discussed this the other day, didn't we? I think it has to be that final episode of the 10th planet, just to see it. I mean, we know what it represents. We've heard it. We've watched the telesnaps. We can probably picture it quite with a fair bit of clarity in our minds, but we need to see it, don't we? We do. We need to see that all-important pivotal transition.
And I can live, Chris, with an announcement with a detail, like, like the name. Actually, I do know if they said, and I'll show you what they say tonight, but if they said we found, say, Power of the Daleks, I would just sit back and wait a few years for them to do it properly,
That's a good point. I was thinking about that, because everything's welcome. Anything that gets excavated is welcome, and it all adds to the repository of existing Doctor Who material. But we're then faced with the quandary that what do we do? Do we watch individual episodes, and then eventually, when they're all available, we'll watch the completed stories, or do we wait? Do we wait and see? Let's say, for instance, it's something like the Dalek Master Plan, and let's say, for argument's sake, 4 episodes become available, not necessarily consecutive episodes. What would my instinct, I think, would be to wait rather than to spoil the potential for getting the whole thing. I don't know what you two think. Or...
Well, did you get that Lost in Time DVD years ago? Remember
that's exactly what I was thinking of. I was thinking about that today, and it's that's prompted this thought, really.
Yeah.
And in fairness, to go against what I've said, when I did get that, it was wonderful. I got it as a surprise gift, and I didn't even know it existed. But after I'd watched them, my overlying thought was that I wish I'd waited, and maybe they might have came out. So that's prompted this sort of disposition from me.
So, Chris, your thoughts? If I mean, they have found more than one. I mean, that's something we can really clarify tonight. But if I just said one, like they found another episode or 2 of Simon D, he was big in the 60s here. So, right, go on then. Allow your aspirations to run wild.
Well, the top of the list, no question, is the Web of Fear episode 3. I am a massive Brigadier fan. Super long story short, to give you a sense of how big of a Brigadier fan I am, I have an ongoing project over the last 6 years of filming the Brigadier's scenes from the wedding of Sarah Jane Smith with actors and costumes and such. We filmed those scenes in November of 2019, 6 years ago when I was still in school. And so eventually my dream is to have his final appearance finally brought to life through various means. So bookend that. That's my enjoyment, my love for the Brigadier. Well, what's missing? His very first appearance on screen, Web of Fear episode 3. That's the one episode that's missing from the rediscovered episodes. So I think to myself, if someone were to say to me, they found Web 3, I wouldn't wait. In the sense of what would be possible for me as a completely disconnected person, I would watch it in the moment it's available. And then I would get probably every version once it's restored. In fact, I'll watch Web of Fear tonight. I'm watching all the Troughton stories just for partly inspired by these rediscovered possible episodes. I'm watching the Troughton animations, and I'm finally getting to just watch The Enemy of the World. And so there is that real anticipation. I can see an animation of episode 3 tonight of Web of Fear. The possibility of that coming back is wonderful. Slightly more than wonderful would be my life in a small way would be complete as a Brigadier fan. Beyond that,
well, the truth is, Chris, only last week confirmed to me. Let's face it, Philip Morris, he did have all 6 episodes of Web of Fear. In between, kind of cataloguing that they identifying them, and then the careful transport back to England. Word got out and one went missing. But when I asked him last week, he said he does know. He has a very good idea who owns Web of Fear Part 3. So it does exist. Yes. So when we add all this together, it's going to come back at some point.
Yeah, and I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful that how do I say this? You always hear little rumors and all these things, and certainly rumors are swirling. And it comes from the Daily Star, Now it's just a rumor, but the Daily Star said some months ago that they talked about the episodes that are coming back, and they said one of them is the Web 3. Is that true? Who knows? But since of all the missing episodes, Web 3 is unique in that it's the one that we know exists.
Yes,
we know that it exists. That means my hopes are high for sometime in the future. I can wait. Like I said, 6 years we filmed the wedding of Sarah Jane Smith stuff. I can wait, but I want to wait for hope.
Well, Foxzilla Gaming here. Good to see some new names. That's lovely. I'd be amazed and overly excited to see the Daleks Master Plan episodes pop up. Love the audio version, but seeing the episodes would be fantastic. It would be delicious, wouldn't it? Braddock, episodes of Fury are obviously Master Plan. It is. It's the Doctor Who epic, isn't it? Ray Tuto, I desperately want more Troughton. Well, yeah. He was so many of the others' favourites. And some more historicals as well. I mean, I have to say, to be honest, you know what's going on here. We just say yes to anything at the moment. Now, I'll just remind everybody my brief version of what Philip Morris said. He said nothing, but he nudged and winked my way when I pushed him, just to get us frothing at the mouth, and we'll carry on with the Film is Fabulous transcript. Here we go. Are there any stories on that list that you think I might see again before I die?
I think you might see parts of some of them.
Which
Yes.
are you able to just give us a?
I wouldn't like to say, but I'd say probably. We do know that some private collectors do hold some Doctor Who. We know that for a fact. Maybe some of the historicals.
Because I.
Yeah, maybe some. Tell you what, on that list there, you'd like to think episode 4 of Power of the Daleks must. 10th Planet exists somewhere.
Yeah.
You'd like to think so. Maybe some episodes of the Moon Base.
Oh, there was 2 left, aren't there? 2 left to find.
Yeah. Maybe the Smugglers. Yeah. Maybe Evil of the Daleks. Maybe something of that might turn up. Who knows? Now.
I mean, he's a fan like everybody else. He has talked to these people though, so I just had to push a little bit more. So that's so far what I've taken us through. Now, the Film is Fabulous also said these collectors are cautious. They don't want to say how they acquired certain things, and we respect and work with them about their collections and their wishes and hopes. Continued. If you're in your late 80s or 90s and have ended up with some items that you salvaged on the skip outside BBC Enterprises or the famous BBC Wood Lane skip, and you were involved in production or worked at the BBC, you would be reluctant to come forward. And I just say Bob Monkhouse many, many times, and everyone will know what I mean. The BBC now, this is Sue Malden, who, as you know, worked at BBC Archives. In fact, she almost invented the whole archive system at the BBC. She said the BBC now is taking such a positive attitude and there's no recrimination anywhere. Everybody is just so pleased that someone has saved this material. So, of course, that opens it all up, doesn't it? So, of course, I'm not going to tease anymore. This is exactly what they were saying. So, here we go. John Franklin said this specifically. If you mention Doctor Who, things tend to escalate very quickly into a storm of speculation. We feel we have to make a comment not only to calm the waters and create a more measured environment and keep everyone up to date. So that's his preface, that everybody needs to know there is news. They were going to tell you when they were ready. Today, they're not ready. I've got a text on my phone just from yesterday saying, Brendan, when the calmer waters come back, we will come on and talk about the recoveries. Yeah, we just need to go, hey, it's all happening. It's just all happening. Isn't this lovely? You can actually enjoy your tea. You can actually have a nice sleep tonight, knowing that good news is coming. But this is just the preface. I mean, Paul, it's sounding good, this.
It is. And although it's broadening the parameters a little bit, I'm actually pleased about all of the other stuff, all of the other British made stuff that's coming out, the Avengers. I think somebody in the chat mentioned, wouldn't it be nice if episodes of Quatermass became available? Anything really, any lost British treasures of this nature. And obviously Chris likes his British TV, so I think we're all in unison on that, I imagine.
Absolutely.
Hopefully on that sentiment. But this is good news all round. Obviously the Doctor Who stuff is a priority, I suppose, but just generally speaking, I love British TV. There's just something about it, I think, that it just appeals to me. It's good that these things are becoming available.
Well, the thing is, and I think that just before I go into the Doctor Who news, which is the very next slide, everybody, the truth is this: most of these film collectors are film collectors, and Doctor Who was a byproduct if it's in their collection. And he said this in the podcast very clearly, and he said it to me actually on Saturday morning. I think it's very important that we know that we value Doctor Who so highly, but these people, it'll just be an accumulation of stuff. It may not be important to them in their collection either. They may have even forgotten about some of them. And this is the situation we just need to be aware of. And Film is Fabulous. Their passion was film. And Doctor Who's not top of their list either. They're not stupid. They'll know when there's a rare find. And he actually explains that, doesn't he? We've told the collectors what's in their kind of collection that is rare, and to try and get it returned to the rights holders. So it's all there. I mean, before I change slide, Chris, you get to be the big tease. But honestly, You know what Doctor Who fans are like. Honestly, there's a whisper on some channel, there's a whisper on Twitter, and there's a bushfire before tea time.
Yes, I mean, it's, and I think that, as you say, these brush fires and stuff, I can say without dwelling upon why, I certainly feel that any rumor right now that would be a positive for Doctor Who fans, I think is absolutely essential, because right now, certainly Doctor Who's facing, again, not to distract from what we're talking about, but certainly Doctor Who's facing probably another wilderness years. And so certainly we don't have any new Doctor Who episodes coming in terms of present day episodes coming this year or next, apart from the War Between the Land and the Sea. So very likely we're looking at least, and I would say probably longer, a couple of years until we have new Doctor Who episodes, probably longer. And so the any rumors that get people's attention, within reason, in the sense of keeping the passions cool and calm and being patient, I think can only be a wonderful positive for Doctor Who fans now, because it's a good unification that we need.
Exactly. And hallelujah for any collector who retrieved anything from any skip. I don't care. I'm not even going to be like the police now. I'm not going to ask a question. I am just grateful that it exists and we have a fighting chance to watch it one day. And who cares? I'll look the other way. I'm not saying a word to anyone. Come on. So, Jack Dexter, enjoying the speculation and, of course, this. Now, he's got a theory. Look at this. I'd want scenes of companions' arrivals and departures. So, Mythmakers Part 4, Vicky. Massacre Part 4, who left in that one? Arrived. Was it Dodo? Dodo. Savages Part 4.
Stephen.
Smugglers Part 1.
Let's just be on Holly's first trip in the TARDIS.
Yeah. Faceless Ones Part 6.
Ben and Polly.
Yeah. Highlanders Part 1, obviously good old Jamie. Fury from the Deep. Victoria and Power of the Daleks. Well, of course, Victoria, that's the Doctor. Yeah. So yes, I agree, Jack, and thanks for the generous. Yeah. So thank you for that. So I always say thank you in my usual way. So here we go. I mean, just to find anything with a monster, I mean, wow. Right, so thank you for that, Jack Dexter. I much appreciate it. So here we go. We are aware, now this is the page that is going to do a lot of heavy duty with our discussion. We are aware of several collectors, plural, with several episodes of Doctor Who that are missing. 2 S's should be there. I was printing fast today, naughty teacher, from the archive. Plural, that are in private collections and with former industry professionals. We are aware of those. Right. So, several collectors, and if I just, before I bring the lads in, I will just remind you as an English teacher, several collectors and several episodes. Now, what does that mean? Normally it means 2 or more, but the most common interpretation, according to the Cambridge Dictionary for Common English Usage, is that most people, when they say several instead of saying a few, mean 3 to 5. So several collectors means 3 at least. Have several episodes. Is that 3 each? Does that take us to 9? Am I doing this roughly? Yeah. So is this saying there's maybe 8 or 9 possible episodes available? Because that's my understanding of the word several after teaching it for 30 years. I don't know about you, Paul.
I always thought several was 3 or more.
Yeah.
I suppose a couple is 2, isn't it? So I always thought
Yeah.
several was 3 or more. So yeah, I mean, it could be. And obviously, because it's 3 or more, it could be at least 9. Would might be a. If we're being really optimistic, you could say at least 9, couldn't you?
And he did say at the very beginning, you will be very, very happy with the announcement. So would 9 episodes make you very happy or very, very happy or ecstatic? You see, I mean, I'd be ecstatic. I'd be absolutely amazed.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Well, I think we have a good chance of those numbers at least, I think.
So let's do. So this is us just using the linguistics here. And John Franklin, when you listen to him, he's very careful how he puts this. We are aware of several collectors. Let's just say 3, plural, with several episodes of Doctor Who that are missing. So it's not a duplication issue. We're not finding Sea Devils Part 5. This is the real deal. That are in private collections and with former industry professionals, because what he said as part of his podcast is some of these people worked on the show and for whatever reasons wanted it had a personal value to keep that episode. So garbage, several to me always meant 7 or more, or garbage is getting really greedy. So 7.
I like his definition. I like garbage's definition. Definitely. Yeah.
Well, I would like garbage to be the accurate version. Oh God, can you imagine 7 collectors have 7 episodes each? My God. I'd love more of season 3 and 4 because they are more my favourite of both Hartnell and Troughton says Kin of the Snakes. I think this is starting to sound very possible. I mean, just looking at the maths, this brings a lot into play. I think, Chris, we're going to be getting lots of bits of episodes, as in stories. But who cares? As Paul was saying earlier, it all accumulates to a big,
Well, I meant, again, let's use that just as an example. Let's use that Daily Star announcement as an example. That, for the most part, talked about individual episodes, but it talked about several. I think it mentioned some things from the Mythmakers. Is that true or not? Who knows? But it certainly, as you say, accumulates, because if you think to yourself for a moment, we're only going to get 1 episode. Fine. Let's say we get 1 episode of, let's say, the 10th Planet. Most of the 10th Planet exists. 1 episode's missing. We only find 1 episode. Well, that's the 10th Planet complete. Say we only get the Web of Fear episode 3. Well, that's the only one that's missing. You know what I mean? It accumulates in the pieces that we already have. 1 puzzle piece missing suddenly fits, and you have a whole story. And that creates a psychological feeling like, okay, now something's complete. If we get an extra bonus that says something like the Makra Terror in its entirety is found complete, then you really get a sense of, you start approaching what we had 12 years ago when they found all of the Enemy of the World and recovered most of the Web of Fears, a sense of, well, like I said, suddenly Victoria feels like a real companion again, because we have a lot of her era back on screen. So it is a wonderful cumulative effect that you can't deny is very motivating.
I mean, if it goes to 7 to 9 to 10, something like that, you really do start to think, well, you can fill in a few of the gaps, like Web of Fear Part 3, 10th Planet. I'm in no doubt. I'll be honest with you. This is me being Inspector Morse, hopefully not Inspector Clouseau. If you're a former industry professional and for sentimental value, you've kept certain episodes, and it happens to be Doctor Who, 10th Planet Part 4, Power of the Daleks. There's certain ones you think, do you know what? There's half a chance out there to mop up, a lot of gaps. There's 97, as we know, out there that are missing. And 9 or 10 to fill that gap would really be tasty. And as you say, it might hit new companions that we haven't seen much of. It might hit the regeneration of all regenerations. I think there's so much hope. I'm really fired up. And look, I know we've had hoax. I know we've had cynicism before, but for once, and I think you're right, Chris, in these dark times of Doctor Who at the moment, let the flame burn. Let us really enjoy this idea, because at the moment, you know, Chris, I feel as though everything's in play.
I think so. I think that. Okay, full honesty. We all are hearing rumors, and I have heard through a couple friends over the last couple of years about persistent rumors about missing episodes that have been found or whatever, or that are possible. And so I'll say a couple. I've heard, persistent rumors that they found at least an episode of The Smugglers. I've heard a persistent rumor that Power of the Daleks episode 1 exists. I've heard a persistent rumor, in fact, stated to me that, yeah, this is the case. Who knows? That the Invasion episode 1 exists. So individual little episodes. When you hear that from more than one person, you start to think, well, it's possible. They may be getting their same false or misinformation. I don't think anyone is purposely misleading, but we may be getting the same misinformation from the same source. But when you hear from more than one person, you think, well, I hope so. Then when you hear that there are episodes out there that they've found and that they're trying to come back, then the persistent rumors at the least start to sound very plausible. Yeah. And does it rise to the level where you hear, what's it called, the omni rumor that everything exists? Who knows? But every episode that you find, like you say, we're facing a dark period like this, which is probably the wilderness years. It raises hope that if you found something, you will keep finding other things. And it gives you that sense that maybe not the omni rumor, but I will say I heard from one guy that he gave his opinion, not a certainty, but he gave his opinion. And this was a guy that at least had some access to behind the scenes stuff. Said that it was his opinion that everything from Tomb of the Cybermen onwards exists. He didn't say that was fact. He just said it was his opinion based on things that he had seen and heard and knew. That gives me the sense that, hey, why not at least believe that that's the case? And have that hope in going forward. You'll find
there's a sense to lots of things here, Paul, because we're saying it's 12 years since Web of Fear and Enemy of the World, where obviously Philip Morris's company actively were going around the world. Now, he made it clear to me he's not doing private collectors in this country. Film is Fabulous is now dealing with that. So there's a kind of different now. Out there, it makes sense to me that because people have now got 10 to 15 years older, there was a time when maybe people had it in their private collections and didn't want to worry about wills, weren't really worried about deterioration of film either. They weren't worrying, but now we've all gotten another 10 to 15 years. I know that private collectors have approached Film is Fabulous and are concerned about deterioration. They are worried about their will. They are worried about archiving and people knowing what's in their collection. And they're all so basically it may be just one of those moments, Paul, when things are starting to come together.
Yeah, I mean, if it's born from pragmatism you've described, that's fine. It's we can be the sentimental ones, the fans can be the sentimental ones. But if that sort of pragmatism, that need to conserve is what yields these things, and that's all the better for us, isn't it? Something else occurred to me as well, and it's an extension really of what's been talked about in the chat, but let's say for argument's sake 20 episodes got released, got found, came to being. It wouldn't necessarily mean that any completed stories would arise from that, but it would increase the percentage, statistically it would increase the percentage of pivotal moments being found, the ones that have been discussed, for instance, with companions and things like that. And I'd be very happy to invest in something like a lost stories based around pivotal moments. So, for instance, the 10th planet regeneration, the first appearance of certain companions, things like that. That, if enough come into being, as I say, the likelihood is that some of those moments will be presented, and that might tide us over until more are found. So there is hope in that regard. I think it doesn't have to be completed stories. It could be something more intermittent.
Well, Mad Mackham, again, in our part of the world, this will make no sense to you, Chris, but a Mackham is up the road from us. He's Sunderland way, because the Mackham and the Tackham, wasn't it? The Tyne was the Newcastles, and Sunderland the Weir, and we're the Teessiders. So basically, it's a regional. Derby. You know, it's so tribal here, Chris. It's like, whoa. So Mackhams can't stand our guts. So the fact that he's offered me £4.99 tells you the love he has for Doctor Who has transcended everything. So he said, my attention is now on the hunt for classic episodes. I can enjoy the wilderness years. Feels like the 90s, neutralising season 1 and season 2. Yeah, let's forget Shooty's knees. Let's forget the clickbait Billy Piper. We can now focus on Power of the Daleks, 10th Planet Part 4. Because I keep saying to myself, why would a former industry professional... It must be an important episode to them. Or as was just said in the thread a little bit earlier by Stefan, which made sense as well. Don't forget, unless you're a fan... Those who took from the skips would have looked for titles they recognise, like Daleks, Cybermen, Yeti. And that makes sense too. So Power of the Daleks, for example, hello. Wheel in Space might slip through the thing because it didn't have Cybermen on it. So yeah, that's interesting. Now, Mad Mackham, I always want to say thank you. I feel a bit Pertwee-ish today. Here we go.
Oh, yeah. I understand you've lost a couple of scientists. Oh, no.
What's wrong? It's Gooch. It's Gooch.
Look for yourself.
Gooch must have left in quite a hurry.
Yes. Yes, he must.
It's our humour, Chris, you know. You can never...
I disassociate myself from this, Chris. I disassociate myself from that.
This is a cultural experience for you now.
Similar postcodes do not make us conjoined in this, Brendan. I want no part of this.
I'm sorry, that looked like a dodgy lunchbox to me. I think a dodgy egg in there. I mean, come on, what's going on here? So, Stephen Braddock, I saw the invasion of... Oh, you see, these people are older than us. They're little devils. It's like Doug, he's a dinosaur, and he's seen every Doctor Who. We need to pickle Doug and get him on. I saw the invasion on first broadcast, and I remember the whole story. If 1 and 4 complete it, it will be held in higher regard. Ooh! I mean, a complete invasion. Cherry, I mean... God, that would be amazing. I have to say, I'm allowing myself to get excited. I am allowing it.
Likewise. Definitely.
Absolutely. Well, as I said, I think that you have every good reason to be excited and every right to be. And like I said, you hear certain things, and who knows if they're true. But if it's true, I think you'll probably get your wish about the invasion, at least someday.
Yeah, Stephen O'Neill, Wheel in Space would be one I would love to see fully restored. And I'm even now falling in love with space pirates. I'm thinking, yeah, have a bit of them as well. Let's go for it. Because in another way, it's nice to see the normal build up to Troughton's finish. Just to see the lead through. Because
space pirates. Oh, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I will simply say, space pirates would be one I definitely want to see, because that's a story where, because of the lack of telesnaps and the lack of the actors, like Wendy Pepper, she doesn't really remember much about that story. So even the people who are there, the lack of primary sources, we don't know what Dalmas Seagreen looked like, some of the characters. So that would be lovely to see, because we would actually have, as you said, some real archaeological finds about what certain people looked like. That, or the massacre, things like that. So Space Pirates is one I want to see, absolutely.
Really good. Bananas are good. I tell you what, I'm seeing so many new people tonight. Fascinating. Welcome, one and all. You'll see I do Who Pets and crazy stuff. Paul will go cross-eyed at me going, what is Brendan on here? So any episode, good or bad, is a golden find. Well, here, because in the end, we're enjoying the speculation. But if you said to me, I've got 5 of the worst episodes of Doctor Who that we're missing, I'd still take it. I easily would. Of course we would. Steve, I just hope that people don't get angry or lash out at a film is fabulous if the episodes recovered aren't the ones they want or expected. If they do that, Steve, they're immature, they're stupid, and they're spoiled. Let's be frank. We are Doctor Who fans, and any episode, as Bananas Are Good said, is a golden find. Let's not be idiots here. Let's not be immature, and let's certainly not lash out at people who are doing a charitable, voluntary service. No way. So, Steve, I know why you've said that. It's because we need to look out for Film is Fabulous. I will have their donation page on a bit later tonight. It's so important. Why should anybody lash out at Film is Fabulous? It would be stupid. They have. He said that in the podcast. There's
a shoot the messenger element to it. And I suppose if the message happens to be disappointment, then I suppose they're in the line of fire, aren't they? They're sort of cannon fodder for it. I hope it doesn't go that way, though, because as you say, they've been nothing but charitable. They've been nothing but selfless. And we wouldn't even be able to have tantalizing conversations like this without their efforts, would we? So absolutely agree.
No. Absolutely. None of us really have unless we just started looking around in trash cans or something. None of us have been probably, I imagine, have the resources or the time, maybe the motivation, but certainly the ability to do what they are doing. What is it's a little bit like Troughton and Tomb of the Cybermen. Nobody in the universe can do what we are doing. Well, they are doing things that no one else in the world can do. And so, give them at least some space and some credit.
And I will talk, money has to come into this. One collection, they may have to lash out. I say lash out. They may have to pay out 150 to 200,000 pounds, say, for the collection. Now, this is a charitable organisation. We're all going to have to help out here. It's no good us all waiting with our hands in our pockets like that tight arse that's in every pub and saying, well, I'm just going to wait and I'll see if it's Space Pirates Part 3, I'm not giving you money. But if I find sorry, they don't know half the time what they're going to completely find. We've got to just help this. And to be honest, if we don't help Film is Fabulous, then we may be denying ourselves potential fines in the future.
Quite agree.
Absolutely.
So what's the format currently? Is there is a GoFundMe or something like that? There is. I didn't realize.
There's different ways of doing it. Yeah, I'll show you. Okay. Don't worry. I will definitely
do.
Garbage, who does my AI to do, a gooch swimming in baked beans. I mean, who fathomed that?
Can I just say that I didn't mean any sort of discourtesy to what I love what Garbage does. I was just being sort of a bit sort of flippant when I was on about dissociating myself. I do like what Garbage does.
We've got a War Machines one coming up, not tonight, but soon. It keeps. So, Bananas Are Good. The Massacre Episode 4 and Fury from the Deep Episode 6 will be amazing. I mean, dream on. Just dream. Enjoy it. So, I'll move slide now just to kind of give you more. So, I've reminded you of the English lesson. You never thought English lessons were exciting, but tonight they are. Because that can allow you to get a bit more excited. So let's just say it one more time before I move on. Several could be 3 to 5. So let's just be very kind of tight. 3 collectors have 3 episodes each. I'm a happy boy. So there you go. What did they also say though? We are actively discussing their whole collections. That's the film collection, the lot. We're not just going to take the Doctor Who or the other rare bits they have. We're talking about the whole collections coming in being catalogued. So they catalogue it, then we know it exists, and then there's still a lot to do. They have to buy the collection, or they have to see if they can loan it, or there's so much here, everybody. So we can get excited that they might exist, but then that's just the beginning. The cataloguing, then the restoring, possibly the returning to the rights holders. Then they will want to tidy them up for release later on. We're talking years still, I think. But as I said, I can go to sleep tonight much more excited than I was when I saw Billy Piper coming out the TARDIS as the She-Hulk saying, is my makeup all right? I feel a lot better now, I mean, Chris, she was, what a look for that. I mean, what a sexy 16th Doctor to have makeup in your hair and big masculine shoulders. I mean, wow, hello.
There is one of those situations where, you can say as well thank goodness sometimes you can turn off the television. I don't know. I mean, no offense to Billie Piper, of course. I think it was kind of her to help RTD as a favor, but it certainly doesn't. It's certainly not the last image of Doctor Who that I want to see ever on television. And so I want a better ending than that. Well, at least I want a better continuation. So yeah, I mean, the chance to see your next new Doctor Who being an image of new photos of Troughton or something, or more Hartnell would be a dream come true. I can't wait.
Well, Zach Whitten, who watched, thank you very much for watching our channel. I can't believe Brendan hasn't mentioned the source once in this podcast. Oh, don't you worry. The source is about, but not tonight. I'm giving you a break from the source because, otherwise you need a bit of Gaviscon. It repeats, doesn't it? Mad Mackham here. We've got Paul. I agree. Oh, they agree with you, Paul. You'll have to come back. No, I agree that was a great observation about what episodes we may get. Actually, casting the net across many episodes does increase the chances of us seeing those pivotal moments. I cannot wait. I have to say, you've noticed with Paul, and I know because I've met Paul a few times, Paul, very analytical, and yeah, that made an awful lot of logical sense, Paul, to be quite honest. It wasn't just sentiment, was it? We were really trying to work that out. The Rage of Crom, another new name to my channel. Thank you. Good to see you. We need the excitement after what the BBC aired. Yeah, I think sometimes hope transcends all, I have to say. Carl Goddard, an industry professional would more likely take a copy of a story they'd worked on, rather than a fan favourite. So literally anything could be saved. That is true. But there are certain stories that were so pivotal. And if you just think about, well, I'm going to keep a bit of that because that's the first time, Patrick. I don't know. I'm trying to hope. So there's that element. Now, they also say, since 2023, Film is Fabulous have been aware of a large collection of films, thousands of films that have become vulnerable. That collection contains some very important material, including a missing episode of Doctor Who. So this is another collection. And this is, Chris, I know you were listening to the podcast as well. This is key, everybody. They were aware of one collector who became very ill and sadly died last week. And of course, there's the estate, there's the fact, there's the emotions, there's the bereavement process. Does the will have this material in? And I know it didn't. So basically, the Film is Fabulous had got access to the material, including the Doctor Who stuff. But then because the person sadly died, everything legally changes. So everything goes back to the beginning. And now they're negotiating, since there's no will, to actually get access again. Once they then get access, they then have to identify. They then have to kind of see if they can take it and actually, do whatever they do with it. Oh God, the thought of it being on Blu-ray is so far down the road, Chris, isn't it?
Oh yes, I think that what we have to expect, or we should expect, and it's a best case scenario, maybe this year, possibly only next year, but soon, as an announcement is from Film is Fabulous is the episodes that they have found. So an announcement, just a listing. We found this. We found, say, Fury episode 5, or Moonbase episode 3, or all of Makwa Terror, as I mentioned before. We found these. We can identify and confirm. So they'll say, just like Big Finish Productions, once everything is in a row, once contracts are signed, once everything's recorded, then they will say, probably once they even have a release date.
Sorry, Chris. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. Well, just that. So what I'm saying is that we're probably just going to get the list of the things that they have. We're not going to see these episodes for quite a while, probably a couple of years. But so again, patience. But you'll know what's coming soon, I think. But go ahead, Paul.
I was just going to say, prior to any kind of physical media release, I wonder if they would do screenings, because I've never been to a convention before, but I know many people who have, and I know that they used to do screenings of odd episodes, or even stories that hadn't been seen for a long time at conventions. It'd be interesting to see if the BFI would if let's say there was a handful found, they could make a real event of it. I'm sure fans would clamour for something like that, because it'd be much more of a sense of occasion than just maybe getting getting an episode on a DVD or something like that. Just
that's
in the
very
interim between these things were officially released.
I think that would be a great way to get people excited. I think it's very likely to, yes.
It might be to raise money as well. Remember, at the moment,
of course.
Remember, once they've identified them, that they exist, like I said, I can go for a while just knowing they exist. But then the next thing is whether they are allowed to then to put them in their archive, restore them or buy them. And then, of course, will the BBC think they're worthy of putting out in some format? Well, we know the answer to that because they all want the money.
Of course.
But you know, we've all seen Doctor Who stuff before rushed out as well, by the way, haven't we? And sometimes I've regretted that impatience and that haste because actually we get half a collection and then we've found another thing, and you think actually, why were we all rushing to print? You know, sometimes you just think, let's just see what's found in the next few years, and then after a few years, there's our line in the sand. This is what we've got now. You know, I mean, rather than this race into print, and obviously there will be a warning in a minute, and I think it's important that we fans all stick together and call out any fans who would pester or harass Film is Fabulous, because he said somebody was trying to get access to the special collection. Somebody was trying to get the name and the titles of the episodes and were rude about it. Can you just wait? We can speculate. The speculation's lovely. And as long as, like Chris said and Paul have said, if we know there's a list of, say, 8 episodes, I'm happy. Just tell us when. Stephen Jeannie Frith, if it's Dalek's master plan, it won't be the whole thing. But if we had the first episode, the one where Katrina dies, and the last episode, I will die happy. I'll take anything. Even the space pirates. Stephen Jeannie, you're sounding happy to me. Graham, hard to believe that anyone would badmouth Graham. I think most of us, and he did say about 99.9% of the Doctor Who fandom have been polite, warm, supportive, donating money, are willing him on. And I sent him another text today and I said, we're willing you on. We're all backing you. We're all going to be donating. And I'm sorry, but you know, you've got us behind you and you've got all the time in the world. And I think it's important that we say stuff that's like that and just let them get on. Jess, Film is Fabulous is an organisation run by film collectors, cinema lovers and vintage television enthusiasts. It has 5 primary aims. It's an interesting podcast and it's a good website and it's got the donation page on there. Stefan, if I remember rightly, 10th Planet was loaned to Blue Peter. We've seen those bits though, haven't we, Paul? The ones that were loaned.
Yeah.
Parts 1 to 3 were then found years later, indeed, of great attention. But part 4, I'm sure, duets, its significance, I'm sure, was taken. Remember, the other thing in that story is if they rush because we pester them, I mean, they won't because they're very careful people. No. You can damage or destroy what you're trying to retrieve. So if we start putting them under piles of pressure, number one, they're going to really get resistant to us lot. But the second thing is, don't force any haste at all. You know, some of the collections can combust. You know it's dangerous. It's flammable. You know that some of it has deteriorated. John Franklin, when he talked to me on Saturday, said it's the nature of the beast. Sometimes they have handled film and it's ended up being destroyed. It was just beyond saving. And, you know, we just have to hope that the Doctor Who stuff is in a decent condition, but please let them restore it and let them do what they need to do to it. I mean, God, I feel as though, Paul, I have to say this because I know from people writing to me, and I've got nothing to do with this, some people want it now.
Yeah. Just immediate gratification, isn't it? It's a human trait, I suppose, but in this case, it's not an option. It's not a viable way to look at it at all. I think patience is the key. I mean, how quickly does 5 years pass now? I mean, especially the older you get as well. I mean, I think one of you mentioned that it was 12 years since the Web of Fear and the Enemy of the World was found, but it's you know, it doesn't seem like it. So I think passage of time being what it is, it'll be well worth it.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll be quite the arduous journey that we're all worrying about.
No, I think that we'll know things, I'm sure, by the end of the year. I'm sure we'll know at least
Yeah,
You never know, but I think we'll know which episodes they found
I think
and
so.
what they're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, what have I got on my phone here? So let's just have a look for a second. John Franklin. We hope to have some very exciting news soon. I'll keep you updated. As stated during our telephone chat, we need some calmer waters and a recovery or two will then proceed. You know, let's just leave it. It sounds good to me. Everything sounds so promising. They are decent people. And like he said, he was phoning me on Saturday and he was off to a private collection. As he said on the podcast, transport, petrol, time. I mean, what's in the tin may not be what's on the label. This is just such hard work, and so I'm just really grateful that somebody's doing it and it's all coming together. Peter Earl, I'm amazed the Highlanders has not been mentioned in the conversation. It was the other day, and Paul knows that we were mentioning the Highlanders before, actually, with Jamie McCrimmon and everything, as it introduces Jamie McCrimmon, one of the best ever companions. I agree with you, mate. I agree with you. I did talk about the Highlanders, and I did talk about the historicals a bit more the other day. So let's have a look. So there we go. So one of the warnings they had is there is a possibility that there are other episodes of Doctor Who in that collection, the one where there's one episode. But at this moment in time, we know of one. But they have to be careful and sensitive and take their time. But this is all sounding so good. Some of the things, though, he has to warn, have gone beyond the threshold. We don't want people appearing uninvited at the university trying to get access to special collections. I mean, really? We will not tolerate any circumstances of abuse or threats of physical violence against our team because we will not share details of the collector and the films and the titles. Quite right. Because, as he said, the trust would collapse overnight with collectors now and future collectors if that got revealed because some stupid Doctor Who fan got impatient and so they give details. Some of these
is that a prospective? Sorry, I was just going to say, is that a prospective warning, or has that actually happened?
That's happened.
It's happened. Okay, I didn't.
That's the only reason I'm showing it. He prefaces it by saying 99.9% of fans have been wonderful and positive, and he's trying to stay positive. But obviously, all you need is this one little bit of minority. And I want to say this out loud, and I want to keep saying it. We, in our thread and our community, if we see any Doctor Who fans being impatient or full of haste, I think we need to call them out and tell them to get their head back in the box. Really, come on, grow up. Yeah. And the fact that somebody's received abuse and threats of violence because they wouldn't give the name of the collector, I mean, who could be in their late 80s, could be ill. I mean, for God's sake, I think people need to get a sense of propriety. You know, we all agree we want the Doctor Who episodes back. We all, I think, are starting to understand they are going to be coming back in some numbers. But let's just leave them get on with it. So, as he says here, I could have had the time and give us the time and space to conclude the things we are doing. You've just heard his text to me. Calmer waters. Let them just get it all sorted out, and then he's happy to come and talk and give us some much needed, very happy news. As Boomer Doug says, please remember, guys, this is going to be a slow process. Films are fabulous. I've been hassled by impatient Doctor Who fans. Yep, as I've explained, Boomer Doug. And actually, even before I listened to the podcast, talking to John Franklin, the founder of Film is Fabulous, on Saturday morning, he took me through all these details. And me and Jimmy were quite shocked at some of the things he told us. It's disgraceful. It's wrong. We've got to be aware this is only a TV program. And as he's very clear, it is not the most important thing they're looking for. They've found Oliver Hardy's first ever silent movie. They've found amazing stuff. It's part of a bigger, richer tapestry of cultural history. We're part of it.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, it is. I'm holding on to the excitement, and I'm holding on to the fact that we need to look after these people. Zach Whitten.
And the thing is, if behaviour like this does persist, the least they'll do is probably just break radio contact. Won't it? It'll just be radio silence, and it'll be the only way that they can conserve what they've got and avoid a recurrence of this sort of behaviour.
Well,
I hope it
I
doesn't.
was
come
really
to that.
pleased.
It probably won't take much
I was
more.
really pleased that he was able to have any time at all to speak to me. I mean, he actually spoke to me, and then he's texted me since. So yeah, thank you very much. Now I know you're busy. Off you go and get on. And I trust that one day we'll contact each other properly again. Yeah, that's all you need. I mean, these people are very good archivists. I think they'll remember my phone number. You know, you know what I mean. Andrew Roberts, it's such a shame that the BBC's charter doesn't allow them to buy these episodes from these collectors but Andrew, they did explain that this is why it's a charity, and they will, if they think it's important enough to return the episodes to the right, to the title owners, they have advised that. If there's a risk of a collection going missing or down, so to speak, because of no will or deterioration, they will try and buy it. So we've just got to back these to the hilt. This is our best hope. It really is. Mad Mackham, Brendan, we really need to save anticipation of. Yeah, half the time, the anticipation is the best bit, isn't it? And me and Paul were talking earlier today because we've recorded a cliffhanger show for a couple of weeks, and we were talking about Saturdays, weren't we, Paul? About anticipation was almost as good, if not more, before you got the program at tea time.
Yeah, it's the old story, isn't it? It's better to travel, hopefully, sometimes than to arrive. And that Saturdays used to be a real ritual back in the 70s, Chris. It used to be. Well, I was saying to Brendan that you'd wake up and then it'd be a countdown to Doctor Who coming on. It wouldn't matter if you're going to a party or if you were going down the town and celebrating with your family or anything, but that countdown was ever impending, and it was all about 5:30 or whatever it was on a Saturday evening. And it's very easy to sort of conjure those feelings again, even at the age I'm at now.
No, I understand. I mean, there's something, as I said, I've grown up watching the classic series and the new series at about the same time. And so certainly on the classic side of things, I could just watch all the episodes practically at once, not exactly, but, episode after episode. And certainly culturally with, and there's nothing wrong with this, but it changes things, the sense of anticipation. With streaming services and such, all episodes of a particular series can be, depending on the distributor, they can drop or they can be released all at once. So that sense of anticipation, that sense of anticipation, in my personal opinion, reinforces and builds patience. And so without that anticipation, you lose the patience that by necessity, I think, travels, as you say, with as part of this journey of being a viewer. So I think that you can, if you exercise patience and enjoy this anticipation, you can actually, in my opinion, this could be a chance for certain people to grow and improve as a person and improve your character by saying, I can wait a moment, because these people owe you nothing. Remember this, these people owe you nothing.
Yeah.
This is the gift that you have.
And gratitude is up there with patience as a virtue. To actually think on another day, say it was something in a skip, or it was in part of the BBC and they picked it up, and they have paid for heating bills, stored it, etc. If that's the only copy that exists, I think gratitude is the emotion I've got, which is thank God you did what you did. I don't care what your motivation was. Thank goodness you did it. And that's what I mean. No questions asked. We're not looking into that. Lee Smith, this is cultural archaeology. If you like the Tomb of the Cybermen, yay, this is what it's all about. Randy Howell says, I'm better at 1.5 speed, apparently, because I get very excitable then. Well, I'll have to control myself. Hold on a minute. I know this will calm me down. It does happen though when people die though, Paul. That's not me doing a fart joke. It does sometimes happen. There's a bit of slippage. It does happen. But these are the bits they never showed at tea time on Doctor Who. When one of our companions died, there may have been a little bit of fallout. Just saying. I mean, Adric's pajamas did not look yellow by the end of Earthshock. That's what I'm saying.
We'll fall out if you keep this up. We really will. Come on, enough. Gravity. Let's retain the gravity.
I've gone down Mavity Road big time.
God, I had to say it, didn't I?
You did. Listen, he can't call me out on fart jokes if he's going to bring up Mavity. Boomer Doug, I'm with Brendan. Just the knowledge these episodes exist and that Film is Fabulous are out there. There's two positives. Don't hassle them. Give them your money and support. Here, Boomer Doug. And I think thankfully we are the decent people. Yeah, it is a minority, but if we do see people getting a bit giddy, I think we need to just pull them into a bit of line. As Grant G says, it's not only a TV program, Brendan. Sorry, hush my mouth. It's more important than life. Andrew Roberts, as the only survivor of the original TARDIS team, it would be lovely for Carol Ann Ford to see all of Marco Polo and the two missing episodes of Reign of Terror before the inevitable sadly happens. I agree. But you hear Peter Purvis, you hear Maureen O'Brien, you hear loads of them talk about their era. Annika, you hear them all saying, if there only were a few more. It's a shame it's their work, isn't it? And of course, it's a nice little...
When you see Annika, especially, when you really think about it, most of her era is lost. Not all,
yes.
Most. Certainly on the Troughton side, almost all of it's lost. And so I think that it would be lovely for her because she's of that. She and Fraser are the only ones left, so it would be lovely.
So I'll show that one more time before we move on a little bit. You'll be very, very happy with the announcements when they come. And may I say, when you talk to John Franklin and when you listen to John Franklin, he is very aware of what he is saying and he selects his language carefully. He said the words several. He said the words plural. He said the words very and very. I am taking that and I'm locking it up. And I'm happy. And I've got my text from him yesterday saying, you know, why not? Mark Patterson, good to see you. Truthfully, many of us might admit that we can take for granted the most recent returns, maybe because we can so readily stream episodes without thinking about the hard work taken to recover them. Exactly. And actually, these are film enthusiasts. And the other thing is that the tangible thing about using them at home, that whole cinema experience, there's a whole thing that we have to appreciate. That's what's in it for them. This whole idea of getting it on Blu-ray is by the by. That's not why they went into this, is it? They went into it for a more tangible, visceral thing, and it wasn't anything to do with us watching and completing the Blu-ray collection of season 1. Michael Webster, very grateful for everything Film is Fabulous are doing. We're fortunate to have them here. And I will, as I said, I've texted him the support from our community, and I will gladly do so again. King of the Snakes, I'd love to experience a whole story being returned. Well, I mean, wow. Like I said, anything from Space Pirates onwards, if you had a complete story, I would be completely happy. It'd be so enjoyable. But it sounds as though there's going to be more than a bonus to that because we're going to get bits of everything. So I'm up to date there. Let's just take us a little bit further through. So here we go. If I just... there we go. So you can see what's missing and you can dream on everybody. You can see the red for Marco Polo. You can see 2 Crusades missing, Mythmakers, Dalek's Master Plan mostly, The Massacre, Toymakers 3 and The Savages there. Now 3 we think is several. If it's 5 or the way garbage is going, 7 times 7 but 3 threes, 9 or 10 episodes will really, as you said, Paul, really start to... It's like playing bingo, isn't it? You can suddenly go bang, 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 bang. No.
Yeah.
So on this page here, oh God, can we... to find even one bit of Marco Polo would be nice, wouldn't it?
Oh, of course it would.
Just that first season, because it's the first season, and as somebody said about the Carol Ann Ford, just to add a bit of completeness that we see a touch of every story. That would be nice. That really would.
Very much so. Very much so.
And then, of course, season 3 got battered a bit, didn't it? Season 3 is pretty much in a right mess. So I would be grateful for anything there except Toymaker. No, I can't deal with the studio bound element of it. What about these then? Smugglers, Highlanders, Underwater Menace, Wheel in Space, Space Pirates, and of course, don't be fooled by the yellow. That's animation, so those are missing as well. So Macra Terror, Faceless Ones, Evil of the Daleks. When you include the yellow, that gets really scary for season 4, as you know. I mean, it's absolutely it's decimation. So I mean, our prayers need to be on season 4 big time, don't they?
Oh yeah. Otherwise, you have almost nothing left.
I mean, we haven't got a complete story in season 4, have we?
No.
I mean,
Well, I watched recently. I mentioned that I'm watching the Troughton episode. So I mentioned The Enemy of the World. I watched that. Well, last week I watched all of Troughton's episodes, I should say, of season 4, and I'm watching animation. So it's all animation. So you think about it. Say what they find now doesn't touch season 4, which I think is highly unlikely. But say it doesn't. There will eventually be a collector's box set, and say they never find anything. It'll be an interesting thing because the collector's box set that will eventually come with season 4 will be animation. And so it kind of makes you think, will it be an animated picture of Troughton on the cover? It sounds flippant, but what I mean is that it will be a very
It could be AI though, Chris. There could be some AI innovations. I mean, you've seen online, I'm sure, what they're doing with AI. So it could be by the time season 4 is addressed in that way. Might be AI.
I think it's highly likely. I would welcome it. I will be very honest, because I think that it's. I think the likelihood, being very honest, of every single episode ever being found, I'm not saying they don't exist, but being found or discovered soon is practically nil. It's practically nothing. So that means that animation is wonderful, but if there weren't a technology for animation, you'd want something else. Before there was animation, you wanted telesnaps or reconstructions. Then you have animations. What comes next? Barring shy of the original episodes, well, AI exists. So I think that whether you like it or not, the AI I think is coming. And so thank goodness for the telesnaps, because I think that what you've shown, certainly, Brendan, what you can do with AI, your friend Garbage can do.
yes.
If you were to take it not saying that it's not serious, but serious in the sense of let's not, create new images with existing things, but create the image and recreate it. Yeah, AI will come, I think. And if there are any episodes like that you can't find, or you probably won't find anytime soon, I think AI is going to replace it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, Mr. Squinty Mint, you're right to say this. I've only got excited by analysing the English. And I haven't used hyperbole. I've really rigidly done the Cambridge Dictionary, the meaning of several. And John Franklin is very careful with his language. So at least 3 collectors have at least 3 episodes. And then he knows of another collector with 1. At least we are talking multiple. Remember Philip Morris last week, who has talked to these people but was protecting them, said basically, oh, you'll be really happy. That announcement from John Franklin, being very careful, just saying, just give us some time, says very, very happy. Then he says several. So Squinty Mint, I appreciate the danger. I'm not trying to get over enthusiastic. I'm basing my enthusiasm on the linguistics. Our optimism gets ahead of us about numbers of episodes, and when they announce 3 finds, it'll be a bit meh. Well, I'm not going to, if for some reason he was inaccurate with his language, I doubt it. But if he was, I'm not good. There's nothing to say, is there? I wouldn't have any problem. And I think all fans would have to understand that. I'm going what he said because he sounds a very measured man.
I think your inferences were quite guarded and sensible, really. And like you say, you were just going by definitions of the words he used. What more could you do than that if you wanted to interpret something? So
and nearly everything.
I don't think anyone's being sort of overly optimistic here. We're just trying to sort of establish some parameters, a spectrum in which is contained what we might achieve over the next several years. So it's I think our expectations are tempered enough.
And whatever happens, Chris, whatever happens, the point is, well done, film is fabulous. That's it.
Yes.
That's the message in town.
Absolutely. I mean, if they weren't doing their efforts, and if Phil Morris had done no efforts a few years ago, and perhaps continuous efforts, I imagine you say he's looking for outside of your country through private collections. If these people weren't doing their efforts, we wouldn't have what we have now. And take it back to I'm not sure when all these episodes have been rediscovered, things that we already have that have been returned to the archives. If there were no efforts made, we wouldn't have Tomb of the Cybermen. Well, goodness, there were no efforts made. Can you imagine if there were no efforts made in finding these returned episodes? Imagine what would we have of Troughton now? We have just about nothing.
Sobering
It's
thought.
a very sobering thought. You wouldn't have Tomb of the Cybermen. You wouldn't have probably anything that Force. You wouldn't have the Enemy of the World. You wouldn't have Web of Fear. You wouldn't have what exists of Wheel in Space. Let's just be frank. You pretty much would just have his last season. And so all that you would know of Troughton would be Jamie and Zoe. Some people probably wouldn't even know who Victoria and Ben and Polly are. So it's extreme gratitude that we have for the efforts that have been made over the last, I imagine, 40 or more years, and certainly in the last few, and going forward. If the efforts continue, if we show our gratitude and let people do their work and allow the process to evolve as it should, more episodes will come beyond what we have now.
Well, Chris, perfect segue. Mark Pattison says, bear in mind the size of the collections mentioned, and some of them are thousands of films. What they find initially could lead to more, given the length of time it may well take for them to catalogue these huge collections. And that's why I said a bit earlier, we back Film is Education to the Film is Fabulous to the hilt, because the potential in the future is there. We need this conduit to work. We need this charity to work, and we need every collector that exists out there to see them as a safe pair of hands between them and the BBC. And then I think it'd be quite amazing to see what could happen. So yes, I agree with what Chris said, and I agree with what you're saying to kind of segue from that, Mark. Stephen Jeannie Frith, the Space Pirates will be a good find. Zoe Herriot and Hot Pants. Just don't tell my wife. Okay, we'll keep it quiet. Just mute this bit. In fact, put me on 3.5. Also, it would be nice to see more model shots and actual footage of the main villain. More Troughton. I know. I mean, I can't choose between Hartnell and Troughton. My only preference is, can I just see a bit more of the regeneration sequence between William Hartnell's last story, bless him, and the first episode of Power of the Daleks. That, for television history, for the cultural history of Britain, and actually for Patrick Troughton and for William Hartnell, that has to be right up there.
Absolutely, yeah.
So important. But then you look at all these and you think, just any of them, please. Any of them. The Crusades, I don't care how they were dressed. I'm not going to get my neck is in a twist. It was of its time. We never really properly saw this version of Troughton with his different version of the hat.
Different trousers. If you notice,
yes,
the extreme. I will say this: what you say about Troughton and the Highlanders, I really and Power of the Daleks as well. I very, very, very much want to see those episodes because, again, I just watched the animations. You listen to Troughton's delivery of the lines in those early stories, and he's giving a much more. And it's interesting. As a preface, it's almost in contrast to what Annika Wills describes of his performance in those early stories. She says that she credits Morris Berry, the director of the Moonbase, as the man that kind of calmed Troughton's performance and gave him the Troughton that we know, saying that around Moonbase, Mokwater, how we consider the Second Doctor, that it comes to being. But yet you listen to just the dialogue without the visuals of Troughton's performance in those early stories, much more measured and much more kind of lower register compared to later stories. So I very much would love to see how he's performing. What's his physicality? Everyone thinks he's a very physical doctor. What if he's not being physical in those early episodes? Probably is. But it almost seems, especially in Highlanders, he's relying on costumes. He's relying on, the German accent of Dr. von Wehr. I'm very excited, if ever possible, but at least interested to see who very early Troughton is. And so that's the Highlanders, especially with that hat and such, based even on the telesnap. Some of the things he's doing seems very different.
this is what I mean. If you're talking about the cultural history of it and the television history, these changes in the early days of Doctor Who, crucial, absolutely crucial. And even if people aren't into Doctor Who, it's an important moment in television history. Now, Cybermat Strikes and my mate in Australia, Dan, I saw you say this the other day, and I've brought it up, and that's why I've put the slide back up. Hopefully it's not a duplicate copy of an existing episode. And remember what John Franklin said, and I spelt it wrong. I was typing fast. Forgive me. My God, I normally proofread. I was doing two things today. I was recording with Paul, and Paul knows I mucked up my editing of one of the stories. We are aware of several collectors, several episodes of Doctor Who that are missing from the archive, Dan. So basically, I understand your fear that it might be a duplicate. Oh no, they found Web of Fear Part 1. But the thing is, he says that I'm missing from the archives. They're aware of the rare items that are out there. Like he said, the Avengers, D-Time and all the rest of it. So as I say, Cybermat Strikes, he said that. David Harden, I saw you said, I know that's your fear. We all have that fear. I understand it. But I'm trying to actually measure the language used that is pretty precise. He says that are missing, and he knows because he says it's a bushfire every time you talk about Doctor Who. He knows that's why the announcement wasn't coming yet. But be happy that there will be an announcement, and as you say, oh my gosh, you'll see some titles of some episodes. My gosh, it's wow, it's like Christmas, isn't it?
Almost.
It is. It's a Doctor Who Christmas, isn't it? Suddenly, forget the Feast of Stephen. So there you go. This is Film is Fabulous. You can find them on the internet as well. You can donate. It's an initiative to preserve vulnerable film treasures for future generations. And because they've just got charitable status, that really does improve their esteem and it improves their position. And so this needs really protecting and nurturing. So there you go. You'll see it on the actual page. Film is Fabulous. Urgently need your support in order to preserve vulnerable film treasures. Please select an amount from the drop-down box adjacent. You make your decide. You know what you can deal with, or you look up filmisfabulous.org.uk. So there you go, folks. There is good news coming. We need to be human with how humans are dealing with other humans, and things will happen. And in the meantime, as we know, the world doesn't go around just on goodwill. It needs a little bit of a filthy lucre as well.
Indeed it does.
So that's where we're up to, folks. And as I said, I will keep checking my phone because Film is Fabulous will get back to me, and
do tell us, do keep us informed.
We will get a chat with them all. I'm just thinking of you, Chris. It's your debut on our show, and you love the Brigadier, so I need to cheer you up.
Thank you so much.
One of the Doctor's gadgets.
Don't want to miss the TARDIS, do we? The wounded thing in the capsule. Maybe it isn't the Doctor after all.
Tegan is absolutely right.
Oh, come on. Doctor, you're better.
Perpetual regeneration. Yes. Life without end or form. Mordrin.
Quickly, we've got to take off. That man, I don't think he's the Doctor, but he...
Doctor!
You're not the Doctor.
You travel.
Doctor, that's him.
Welcome to my ship, Time Lord. I am Mordrin. When did you last have the pleasure of eating a well-prepared meal?
So you see, Paul, I don't always do fart jokes. Sometimes I just do burping. You see, I'm so flexible.
It's a distinction without a difference for me, I'm afraid. It really is. But I do, just on a serious note, though, I do love Mordrin Undead. I do love the fact that the Brigadier gets his own story. Yeah. I've always loved it. It's a great story. All the time traveling things and the timey-wimey before it was even coined as a phrase. But I love Mordred Undead. I really do.
And it just
I love it.
in a purely simple way, it just gives you a sense, because I never had the chance to meet Nicholas Courtney. It just gives you a sense how big of the man he was compared at least to Peter Davis and his size. It's incredible. It shows that he's a larger than life figure, but yet being very restrained and humble. So it's wonderful.
Well, thank you for coming on, Chris, and thank you for coming on, Paul. I'm enjoying sharing the excitement.
Thank you both. Lovely to meet you, Chris. Lovely to meet you.
So it was measured excitement. We are keeping an eye on the language used, and we will now. I'm happy to be patient and just enjoy speculating. So because tonight we've been talking about missing episodes, the Hartnell and Troughton years, I actually thought I'd do a different type of cliffhanger into our credits, and I think it's one that's really important because it takes us back. So goodbye, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Join us again. You know I'm a bit active at the moment. I've been a little devil. Thank you to my two contributors, Paul and Chris. I hope to see you again. And enjoy this cliffhanger, everybody. Do you remember this one?